Hi, everybody. I don't actually have very long for this update. I wanted to just say a couple of quick announcements. First of all, thank you for everybody who has liked and subscribed. And I know people are kind of like leaving YouTube. I was on Roar Media on the dive this morning. So thank you to Amber King and um, Shonda and to Oz. And also Savage Joy was on the show with us. So if you all want to go and like and subscribe on Roar Media, I gave some updates on that show this morning. It was like an hour and 15 minutes, and they covered a lot of stuff, but also invited me on to talk about the Red Berets and with Whole Washington and Whole Washington's direct action here with us in Tacoma, Washington, coming up on the 26th, that we're trying to mobilize everybody to, inspired by the Bernie's mittens. So, it's not like if you don't have a pair of mittens, you can't come do the direct action. Everybody is going to be bringing a folding chair. If you don't have a folding chair, you can come bring and park your butt or your feet on the concrete. But we kind of want to, like, visually, we want it to be similar to Bernie sitting there on the folding chair in the mittens, in the red berets. And with signs and whatever. And we're putting some public pressure on Representative Kilmer to co-sponsor Representative Jayapal's bill that she'll be reintroducing probably about a week just before. It'll just have been reintroduced. So the timing is perfect. But I need to get out the door to go and print. You see, this is the thing. We have to grow our independent media, but we also have to constantly, when we're giving updates, we have to tell people how they can move into action. So I'm really, I made it as kind of the title of this quick update or video to give a shout out. I'm going to be giving a lot of shout outs to Justin Jackson, because basically he's one of the main reasons that we're getting the whole Washington is being brought into the national strategy conversation. He's not the only reason. I've given shout outs to Ryan Knight and I guess to myself. Let me give myself some shout outs, because I've done a lot of work on Twitter to try to get this idea out there, and the Red Berets kind of being a connective fabric and a symbol of solidarity. But so certainly, Amped Up Podcast, Ryan Knight, the Vanguard, Ron Placone, and Jen Perlman. These are independent medias who have so far covered whole Washington and a little bit of the Red Berets. And Ryan Knight is the reason why we are now connected up with Kenny Ballantyne to do this documentary, which is not only, the Red Berets are kind of a connective fiber. Seems like to me, like the left get very territorial about things, or kind of thinking, well, this is my this is my project. That's what you're doing, your project over there. That's the Red Berets. Oh no, that's over. Look, last night we were on the Vanguard. I invited myself, which I was informed that I'm welcome to invite myself. So I really appreciate that, because I have a really good organizing relationship with Scott DeNoyer. And because he is not one of these people who is territorial about whenever I'm interacting with him on Twitter or helping to, amplify his story, I just do the common sense, thing, common sense and what's the word? I don't know. I can't find my words today. It's about being respectful and just kind of like sharing in the solidarity and weaving all these things together. So I use his hashtag. It's because it's Danny's story. So I do hashtag Danny Strong, hashtag No One Fights Alone. And then when he comes in, he says Danny Strong, Red Berets, whole Washington. Like, we're connecting things up, and we're recognizing that to platform each other doesn't take away from my platform or your platform. It's like there is room for all of us on here. So I think there seems to be sort of a symptom or a thing among progressive media or people on the left, that somehow if they platform people, somehow it takes away from their own platform. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong on this. It seems to be really interesting to me that I've desperately tried to get some media attention for whole Washington and the Red Berets. And again, shout outs to people that kind of helped, to try to get us out there, like the Convo Couch, Fiorella and Pasta. Like they were the ones that I was able to give the Red Berets to, and then they got the Red Berets to Ron Placone. So one could argue that, the first person that really platformed whole Washington was Ron Placone, and he received his Red Beret, and we were kind of on his radar because the Convo Couch gave them the Red Berets, he and Graham Aylwood. So look, and I try to give credit when it's due, and kind of try to remember how these links have happened. And it's not to disparage people that haven't had whole Washington on. It's a busy organizing world. There's a ton of stuff to cover. It's all really, really important. And right now I'm just focusing on being really, really grateful for, Justin Jackson and Dr. Dooley, and Ryan Knight and the Vanguard, and the people that I just listed, because these particular media platforms seem to understand that it's really important that they start platforming the activists, like the boots on the ground, the people who are doing the actions. We have to be in action at this point. And I guess, we need a running back to come in and take this ball. I'm please don't ask me to do sports analogies, but this is it. Like he's helping us move this strategy along to where it needs to be, which is an inclusive, like, fight on all fronts. If one strategy isn't working, then we don't keep fucking doing it over and over again. We find a way to bring other stuff in too. That's just common sense. You don't have to be, but apparently you do need to be a football player to understand about that, because this is how, because he's moving things for us. And along with the other people that I have said, that I've given some shout outs to. So again, it's not like to disparage or undermine anyone who hasn't done that, but please jump on this moving train, because we're doing stuff. And with this documentary, Washington State is kind of a starting point, and we want to make the scope of it really big. Wouldn't it be something if it can be a documentary that is a series where he travels from state to state? It would be like completely amazing if he could travel to every single state. Lisa Serafini, who is in Pennsylvania, who is going to be traveling out here to, along with Scott, not along with him, but they are both traveling out. Scott Denoyer is traveling and Lisa is traveling. Well, Lisa has been somebody who has understood, like, this both, and there's people working on stuff like within the Democratic Party, and there's pressure on the outside, and everybody finds their place and brings their talent. And we're moving around the platform. We're building solidarity around the platform. So if everybody can get away from this kind of like slow leak of diminishing other people's efforts. And that was if anything pissed me off about the force the vote thing, it was to see so many supposed people on the left continually and perpetually, like, draining off and undermining and stifling good grassroots energy. Just get on about the business of doing whatever it is that you think is the best for the movement. I can't possibly myself understand how that wasn't to force the vote, because when you have leverage and you have so little power, like we have so few seats, but when you actually have enough to demand something, and to get some concessions, and people are dying, and we are in a like, we're in a real bind. Anyone who does not understand exactly how big of an effing bind that we're in, and how much solidarity and action that, not just the left, but like just people, the 99% who know that we need to fucking change this shit, and we need to change it fast. We can't afford to be dumping cold fucking water on top of a strong effort. So I guess I'll just come back and relitigate that, because it's absolutely going to continue to be relevant as we demand that people move into action and stop naysaying good actions. And I can parallel this by saying there's still people that are somehow finding a way to run the narrative that state level efforts are harmful to the Medicare for All movement. I don't know how you make that case in the middle of a global pandemic, where we still are the only country that doesn't have healthcare as a human right, and that we have veto Biden and Kamala Harris coming up, who is going to be no more supportive to this than Joe Biden. That's what they're paid. That's why they were appointed to this. That's why they were installed that's why the media helped install them, to make sure that Bernie Sanders wasn't put in. Everybody is aware of all this stuff. Anyone who's watching my little, thank you for my 59 or 60 subscribers that I have here. Everyone is well aware of these facts. And the point is, now what we need is constantly a moving strategy. So, speaking of which, that's why I don't have any more time to spend. I have to get down to, I'm going old school, and I'm printing on some red paper and putting in an envelope. And there's the direct action that's happening. There's the individual interviews that are going to be happening on that weekend. And I'm also, but I had a comment from my son's home Waldorf community. Our little homeschool is part of the greater, the Tacoma Waldorf community. And it's fascinating that Kenny Ballantyne actually was like, you probably don't know about a little thing called Waldorf education. I mean, that's, because I'm from a crafting family. And I was just like, I'm going to keep telling this story over and over again because I think it's so cool. And I was like, yes, I do. Our son had the benefit of early Waldorf education. And what is that? We could get into all of that. Maybe I'll do a live stream a little bit about it sometime to kind of bring in that thread. But the point is, it has a very strong emphasis on handwork and arts and learning through actually using the hands and bringing art and music and everything into early childhood education. So, my son's been doing crocheting, and he like has put his foot down and hasn't really knitted red berets because he knows me. He sees me recruiting everybody to this cause. So it's kind of like, if you give her an inch, she'll take a mile. So there's a little background. My son will probably craft for the crafting circle, but it will be kind of like a first big deal if he is, because he's been rightfully so. He's put his foot down, even though he's not even 10. Because he knows where I would try to take him and put him to work making a whole bunch of red berets. But anyway, so I'm going to go and print this out and give it out not only to my sons, because I got some feedback from them saying when they heard that Justin Jackson and that we had Dr. Dooley and Justin Jackson coming to do this whole Washington event, I got a little bit of feedback like, oh, Laura, we'd really like to know about these things when they're happening. We support this cause. So it was like putting me a little bit in check, right? Not in a mean way, but see, I had kind of thought, well, I don't want to bring too much of my political activism because, maybe either not everybody agrees here with it, or maybe they just don't want to be inundated with full-on activism. And the problem when we compartmentalize our worlds like that, and we aren't willing to kind of, it's not about pushing, but it's just about, it was kind of a little bit of a thing to realize, wow, like I really hadn't shared in any meaningful way to invite and include and say, hey, we got this LA Chargers running back and a national surrogate for Bernie Sanders 220 who are coming to do whole Washington's event. Like, you come join us. So I learned from that. That's the point. We learned from our it's not really a big mistake or anything. It's just to kind of recognize how I, like everyone else, has probably compartmentalized their worlds. I'm an advertisement for our business, but she cares about this cause, and so the building is available over the weekend, so we can use it like rent free, and that helps save cost. And so now I'm reaching out to my son's okay, I don't know if that totally interrupted, but so some people will do that, but I'm offering, and what we want to convey part of what I would like to be conveyed in the documentary, and I think that that's what kind of brought us together, is this crafting connection. So I think he's more than happy to kind of show, because like I've got stories, 90-year-old retired RNs have knit and crocheted for red berets over the years. That's profound. If we can get people that maybe cannot They are not able to go out and participate in these direct actions, or people who are just like, maybe for their job, that kind of puts their job at risk. We have a whole system that is very much set up and designed and rigged to keep people from participating in policy and helping to shape policy that will give them more freedom, actually. So there's all kinds of reasons why people don't want to or are unable to participate in direct actions that really put their face and themselves out on the line. And so we want to find ways to include. Thank you.